right, welcome everyone to Barely a Destiny Show, episode 17. And it looks a little different because Ben is on vacation. So, but without Ben, we're still going to do it. Got to get you guys a good show. Anyway, so we have not a guest today, but a guest host, I guess we should say. Scary Internet Guy, how you doing, Scary?
Good. Good to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you. Glad we had to have you. And as usual, Slapshot Scott. How you doing, Scott?
Doing all right. Sorry, I'm just trying to tweet to tell people we're going live now.
Oh, right on. I just got the tweet, so there we go. It did work.
Social media.
And filling in for Ben, it's me, Xanathan711. So this week we're recycling another band. We're going to do If Only because I'm going to his house tomorrow for Memorial Day, so why not? Little housekeeping stuff. You can find us at barelyadestinyshow@gmail.com. Send us questions and comments, concerns, whatever. On Twitter at barelyads. And then, or any of our individual ones where we'll get to later. And a special shout out to Shenanigans915. He added myself and Ben on PSN the other day, and we both hit him up and we're like, hey, awesome, play with us whenever, like hit us up. And then he did. So Scary and Ben got to play with him the other night. And how was it, Scary? How was playing with Shenanigans?
Dude, it was awesome. The guy totally sandbagged his PvP skills for sure. Like, he came in, we played a couple of rumbles, and he was like, hey, I'm not very good, so, like, you guys are gonna have to, take it easy on me. And then was getting, like, throwing knife headshot after throwing knife.
Of course.
A couple of times. I was a little upset.
Scary's no slouch. I gotta say that, too. He's very wiry in the PvP.
Being that it's the first time we have him on the show, we should ask him what, I don't know, I don't think I've ever played with you before, Scary. What class do you main?
I made the Hunter for a really long time.
Oh, what?
I did, but recently I've been playing a lot of Titan.
Oh!
Yeah. Scott, are you a Titan too?
We're an all Titan show.
Titans on the show.
Are you just saying that?
I started off with a Titan during the beta.
Okay.
And I was really happy with playing Titan, and I just liked the jump, and I felt quick. This is before anybody knew about skating or anything, but you could feel that there was a quickness there. But then when I got the game, the game proper, I started playing Hunter, and it just didn't feel right. But I kept with it for a really long time. Golden Gun was dope, and easy in PvP and stuff at the time. But recently, just been watching the Fun Police. And it makes me want to play Defender. I know, I can't get enough of it.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, yeah, we should definitely ask Scary the usual guest questions, since he's like half guest, half host. What are your favorite exotics, guns, and or armor? And if you could make an emote, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay. Favorite exotic armor right now has got to be no backup plans. It's just easy, and and because
Fun Police.
And because of the no backup plans, I'd have to say my favorite exotic weapon has got to be the Chaperone. You bust out the old Chappie, get those headshots, and you're feeling good,
Yeah.
Keep that shield up.
I gotta say, I love watching that guy play because he's just ridiculous. Like, people don't get it. They see a purple Titan with no backup plans and Chaperone, they're like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna charge him with everything. It's like, have you not watched this before? It's notable enough now where he has t-shirts made. Come on.
Yeah, the dude is good. He can get out of that bubble quick too. Like when he sees a slam coming or something, he's so good at calling it, which is what I'm trying to work on.
Yeah.
The thing that kills me is how he uses swords. Like, it's unreal how well he uses swords, and people just don't see it. They're like, oh, look, a fucking purple Titan with swords. Like, no, look at his gamer tag. This guy, is one of the guys who knows how to do that.
Yeah.
Don't challenge him.
Yes, he does.
Oh, man.
Dude's an athlete.
God.
All right. So what about the emote? Well, if you can make an emote.
Man, I'm sorry. I should have been prepared for this.
Oh, it's cool.
Uh,
Just means you don't listen to the show. Oh, just kidding. He does. He does. He live tweeted the last episode.
I think maybe a mic drop would be good. Something like that.
Mic drop. Mic drop would be
I
good.
think a mic drop would be good. Especially somebody comes in your bubble and you just drop them.
Yes.
That might work.
That would be really
Oh,
good.
the salt that would come.
Oh man. I just got an emote a couple days ago I didn't even know existed, and it's my favorite by far. It's the Just Do It emote, Shia LaBeouf. It is exactly like the video. Oh man, it's so good.
So great. You know, there was one I want to say that's actually become one of my most fun things for playing the weeklies and getting those treasure boxes. Not to like stray too far off the show path, but I love it. Like it used to be, yes, I got an ornament and it was one that I wanted, and then I got a bunch of ornaments I didn't want. I'm like, eh. And then I started getting emotes, and because they don't repeat, you get a different emote every time. So
Yeah.
it was great. And there was one I got that was just like the thumbs down, and I'm like, oh god, if I ever do well in PvP, I'm using that one.
Nice. I also just got the No She Didn't, or No You Didn't, the snaps. It's so sassy.
I've ever seen anybody actually use that one.
Oh, I use it a lot now. So,
I gotta check and see if I got it.
Have you guys seen the emotes for D2?
no, I haven't looked
Just
into
the
that yet.
the wave dance one, I think, is the only one I've seen.
The first one I saw, it was a quick, like, one of those play clips where they're smash cutting from, like, game footage. And there's one with, like, a huge group of, like, 5 or 6, maybe a raid team, I don't know. It was a bunch of Guardians, and there's a Warlock that starts doing the pop and lock thing. So it's spinning. I'm like, I need that emote.
That's awesome. Oh man. All right, so here's the last guest question for Scary.
Let's hear it.
Toilet paper, over or under, or the roll sitting on the thing?
Oh,
Do you wipe from the side or the back? And do you look? I mean, this is the guest question. This is what every guest is going to be asked from here, like from when we talked about it on. So.
you know what? I'm subscribed. I just unfollowed. Yeah, I unfollowed. I'm out of here. I will say this: as far as roll position goes, like a waterfall, man.
Like a waterfall.
It's in the patent.
It is in the patent, yeah.
Toilet paper roll holder, like you got to go with the original.
All right, we'll let the rest slide, I guess. But that means you're a Type A personality. Right there. It means you're Type A personality. All right, so let's jump into it. We got to talk about poop every week. You know, it's a thing. No, I'm kidding.
You know?
I'm kidding. Oh man. All right.
Yeah, well, that means something different.
All right. All right. So Scott, what did you do this week in Destiny?
This week in Destiny, I pretty much played my weeklies, got them all out of the way. That Nightfall is a real bastard. I know there's people out there who are like, what do you mean? I soloed the Wretched Eye, but that Nightfall sucks. It was me, Kendra, and Dan Vader, who was a new clanmate. And we had a hell of a time, but we finally did it. It was a team of a Hunter Titan Warlock, and Dan was a self-res Warlock. Kendra, I don't know, actually she played her on her Defender Titan for that, so she was providing the bubble and I was doing the treasure type thing, and we got through it, finally got our, ended it like a Titan. I charged him and gave him a Fist of Havoc, and then knocked him back. And I think it was Dan Vader. I think he self-resed actually and started chucking grenades, and we got him. So that was fun. We played Crota the other night, beat the Death Singer Challenge in a $157, so I got that note in the book. All set. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did in Destiny. I played a little Borderlands on the side. We'll talk about that later. I think it was last night.
Oh, right on, right on. Scary. What about you? What did you do in Destiny?
See, this week, honestly, we're getting ready to move. So this week I didn't play a ton of Destiny, but I did get a chance to play Friday night. Played with Shenanigans, which was great. We did a solid college try on the Nightfall, and weren't having it. It was me, Ben, and Shenanigans. Leading up to the boss fight was cake. You know, we were just running through shotgunning everything, and it was great. But damn, getting to the boss at the end, we had 2 defenders and what was he? I think it was a Night Stalker. Shenanigans was playing a Night Stalker, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we gave it a few tries, but we wanted to get into some Rumble and stuff, so we got out of there. We got out of there pretty quick and just went to PvP. Yeah, other than that, mostly just some PvP. I didn't finish my hand cannon bounties from the other week, so I finished those up this week. Still no Luna.
Oh, you never got a Luna?
No, I mean I have a bunch, but they're garbage.
Okay.
Like they're terrible. So
That's always the problem, man.
yeah, it's always got like casket mag or something dumb. So
That one rules a lot. I was listening to Planet Destiny, and Story Machine has been trying to get a good Luna for like months now, and the running joke is everything he gets has casket mag on it.
dude, I'm right there with him. It's awful. Everything has casket mag. I'd take almost any other perk over casket mag. I think maybe. Yeah, I can't think of a worse one. So just got a hand
You
cannon.
take oiled frame over casket mag?
Oiled frame. You know what? Just for some variety, yes, I would.
Oh man. All right. Well,
How about you?
Well, today I played so much today. I've been helping a friend with some quests, catching up, and I did side quest Sunday with Dan today. So that was both Vogue
Nice.
and easy mode Wrath in like 3 hours. It was crazy. Anyway,
Pretty-
yeah, not a lot. Just I did get a really good rolled Ill Will. That was the. I don't like Ill Will, but this thing has braced frame, rangefinder, and luck in the chamber. So it's got a
Nice.
it's a 5-shot luck in the chamber, and it's beautiful. But yeah, it's just same old kind of stuff. Trying to do Vogue again next week. I want to get the Caber set, Caber, whatever.
Yeah. I can't wait, man. You know, I played Vogue 3 times the first time it came out, and that was like the first week my son was born, and I haven't been able to get a Vault of Glass run in since. Like, that's it. Yeah, so it's been a lot of times it's been because like things fall apart. Like I said, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, you and I, and I've got like my Thursday night, you know, I throw a post up in our clan group and I'm like, yo, it's Slapshots Weekly. Who wants to raid post? This is what I need. Who's Sherpaing? And I got like 2 or 3 guys who will usually just Roger up right away. And I mean, my clan, they're all pretty experienced, so I usually end up with a pretty good team. And we just go through and trash everything and have a good time. It's fun, but every week Vogue comes up, I'm either like super busy or just like something, you know, doesn't work out. Everybody's like, I got to go pick up my brother from work or whatever the case may be. You know, my kid's sick, so I can't jump in. So hopefully this week.
Yeah.
Because I really need that fucking armor.
I
love
I'm
that
still
on.
hunting for that Fatebringer, man.
Oh, I got the.
Still don't
I got
have-
the
yeah.
legendary one, but I kind of want
That's
the
what I
exotic
want.
one.
I got the exotic one in one of the first runs that I did, like that week where I did 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It was me, Kendra, and K-Cal, I think. I don't know if you guys played with her or not, and her boyfriend, Rusty. And like she sent me an invite. She's like, yo, we're running Vault. You want to go? And I'm like, yeah, sure, you know. And so we had a freaking blast, man. We struggled a little bit on Templar, but I mean, that first raid we did, we one cycled Atheon. And I was just like,
That's ridiculous.
holy fucking shit. Like, I could not believe it. He got burned in less than like 30 seconds, you know, because like they had that countdown before you got to get to the center. And the last one, Rusty was was our shot caller, and he's like, keep shooting him, keep burning him, we're gonna get him, like keep burning him. And I'm like, I don't know, man, this might be a wipe. He's like, go for broke, who cares, give him hell. So like the last second, it was on like 2 seconds left or something, and it dropped. I thought it was gonna wipe us, but we like somebody like managed to reload their sleeper and pop that last shot off and hit him in a crit, and he just dropped him. Like, I jumped out of my chair. I'm like, holy fucking shit. It's like 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, and we just one-cycled Atheon. That was insane.
That was
That's awesome, man.
Age of Triumph, right?
Yeah, that was like week 2 or something. I was like super hyped about it. And then, of course, I want to say that, like I said, I ran 3 times that week. I ran Friday that week with 2 of the same people, Rusty and Kendra. And we ran back-to-back with a couple people. And like we got to Atheon, and it just fell apart. I think we had to like maybe 2 cycle them or 3 cycle them. But, I mean, we got the clear. We got challenges, so it was good.
Nice. I still have to beat Atheon Challenge, all of King's Fall, and
It's tough.
I think I have Axis Challenge. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Dang.
King's Fall's a motherfucker, but we'll talk about that probably another week because you know my love for King's Fall.
Yeah, that's gonna be my least favorite.
Dude,
is King's Fall. Just feels so boring.
It's not even that. It's just like we were talking about this in the Destiny Ghost Stories Discord, and like lore wise, that raid is probably the best laid out and the most beautiful as far as like story and how they tie the mechanics to the story and stuff. It's amazing. And the Books of Sorrow are fantastic, but it's just one of those things where like I get there and I play it and I'm just like, nope. Like I'm not enjoying myself. If they made the rewards better, I'd love it. Just because the rewards would be better, but it's like the encounters are so long and it's so mechanic heavy. The encounters, like we'll say like an average encounter in like, Wrath or Vault of Glass or something now even at 390 with a whole crew of full power people, like an equipped fire team, it probably takes like maybe 15, 20 minutes a try max. If you're going to get fucked and you're going to wipe, you just wipe right away and you're like, all right, let's reset. But like, especially with that Oryx encounter, man, if you get like almost to damage phase, so there's like 4 rounds of 4 bombs waiting there, and somebody steps into the bomb too early, or maybe someone who shall remain nameless gets knocked into a bomb by a thrall, and the bomb goes off early, and yeah, that was it. It's fucked, man. So like then you got to reset and you got to go do it all over again. If one thing's out, and sometimes like even if everything's perfect. And I argue with people about this because they're like, I've never had Oryx glitch before ever. I'm like, dude, we spent 3 hours every time we got the damage phase. He opens his chest and I've counted 6 people putting sleepers to him. Nothing. He glitches and wipes everybody. I'm like, damn. What the fuck? So you won't catch people in my clan rage quitting too much, but that was definitely one where 3 people are just like, fuck it, I'm out. Not doing it. So
all right.
It's
King's
Fall's its own special breed.
It's punishing. For sure.
All right. Well, before we get into our Destiny stuff, let's hit our non-Destiny stuff, right? Barely a Destiny show. We have a listener question, kinda, from Detective Ben Malone, since he's a listener today. And it's, what's the best cover song you've ever heard?
Oh, goodness gracious.
I feel like we need to set out parameters for best. Like, do we mean a cover song that was terrible and cheesy first and then ended up being awesome? Or is it just different and like they mastered it their own way? Because it's like I said, Steve and I, we talked a little bit earlier about this today, and we're trying to figure out like there's a different definition of best depending on what you're talking about. So, I mean, I got a couple ideas, but Steve, if you want to, or Scary, if you want to go first.
I'll start. My favorite is Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt.
Good one.
I mean, if you've heard it,
dang,
you just
that is
know.
a good one.
That's a really good, it's better than the original in my opinion.
And so good for movies and trailers and
yeah,
maybe a bit overused, but still works.
Yeah.
I'm a big Johnny Cash fan as it is. So like I heard that and I'm like, is this a 9 Inch Nails song? And so of course I like the 9 Inch Nails version. But it's just one of those things where like, and I was, again, like Steve and I were talking earlier today, and I said the coolest thing about that is it kind of flips the narrative. Because usually like younger artists will cover older artists to sort of get back to their roots or pay tribute to their influences or something like that. And that one flips it where it's like Johnny Cash, you know, like, as the story goes, again, if I remember correctly, he heard that song and he's like, I want to cover that, because towards the end of his career, none of the traditional country labels would touch him because of all of his problems. And I think it was it Steve, was it the same label as Nine Inch Nails? Do you know?
I have no idea. Honestly.
I can't remember. All I know is it was like one of the more modern, like prominent labels from the 90s that had like, you know, some of the alternative acts on it. And they're like, we're fucking signing Johnny Cash because he's Johnny Cash, you know? And because I remember seeing the documentary about this, but I can't remember for the life of me who it was. And I can probably look it up, but it was just one of those things where I heard, I'm like, that's amazing.
Do you have a favorite cover, Scott?
I don't.
Scott or Scary?
We'll let Scary go first because I've got a couple.
Yeah, so I'm not huge into music. Like, I don't really like hunt music down or anything. Like,
Right.
music just kind of comes to me and I listen to it, and that's fine. You know, people make recommendations or whatever, and it's whatever. So a lot of the music that I'm exposed to is in movies and TV and stuff like that, because I'm far more of a movie buff. So I don't know if these count as covers, but all of the you guys watch Westworld?
No, but I've been
oh,
being told
dang.
over and over I need to.
I have not, but everybody keeps telling me it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I will say the show is amazing, worth watching on its own, but the music is really great, and they redo a bunch of modern pop songs, but it's, you know, set in this Western theme, so they're on these old-timey pianos, like play themselves kind of pianos, and they're awesome.
Heck
So yeah, I would recommend checking that out.
that's fantastic.
You find it, Scott?
I'm trying to right now. All right, so that's not going to tell me anything. So I've got a couple. I'll talk while I'm doing this. If I can do two things at once, we'll see. This will be a test. So I've got a couple favorite covers, and it's based on different like criteria, I guess. So I'll go through them and I'll try and talk a little bit about each one. So the first one that came to mind when Steve put this to me was actually Hurt by Johnny Cash for those reasons. I thought it was really, like I said, kind of unique circumstances, pretty amazing. Because it's the way it comes through is it's supernatural, like, and I don't mean that like ghostly. I mean it's actually like it comes off as very natural. Like he covers it and makes it his own. So it was really cool how well he pulled it off. You didn't see it and think, oh wow, you know, like this is a Nine Inch Nails song. Like probably for the first. I don't even know how many times I heard it. Yeah, it sounds like Johnny Cash. You're not like saying, "Oh, this is like a cover." So it was kind of an amazing thing with that. I'm gonna go super cheesy for the next one. It is actually an entire album, but I'll call a song out specifically. Less Than Jake did a cover album of all the like Saturday morning cartoon themes. And there's some really good ones on there, but my favorite, and I guess it's not really a Saturday morning cartoon theme, but the song is the theme song to the Dukes of Hazzard, which I believe Waylon Jennings did originally. So it's Less Than Jake doing like a punk version of the Dukes of Hazzard theme song, and it was perfect. I just thought it was fucking amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
So it was hilarious. I came up on some weird like. Back in the day when you could download shit off of like peer-to-peer servers, that totally was not illegal, because I definitely do that. I forget. I remember like somebody gave me a bunch of music and I'm like, it was at the end of a track, so there was a long silence and I go to skip it. I'm like, oh wait, there's more. I wonder if. So I fast forward and all of a sudden here starts like just the good old boys, and it's the palm muted get like punk rock guitar. I'm like, oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, this is hilarious. So. It was really good.
Okay, so I just found out the label for that album. It was recorded by American Recordings, Universal Records.
Universal.
And
Okay.
the producer was Rick Rubin. That's why I knew that. That's because I think they had him on. It might have been Behind the Music right around the time he died, or right around the time that Walk the Line came out, and everybody was doing their Johnny Cash documentaries and stuff. That's where I heard it, and I was like, oh wow, that's kind of huge, because Rick Rubin had he worked with a bunch of different acts in the 90s, so that's kind of cool. One of my other favorites, just because it is, and again, it's a series, mostly Gwar, if you're familiar with them. They did a series of covers of like 70s and 80s like pop or rock songs. And if you know Gwar, for anybody who doesn't know Gwar, just Google it, Gwar. They're basically a heavy metal band that dress up in giant like foam rubber space monster costumes and just play crazy thrash metal. So they're from like the late 80s, early 90s. And they're awesome. So they've done for the AV Club each year they come out with a list and they ask different bands to cover it. And they did Gwar the first year. They're like, cover whatever these songs are. And they all get in character when they do it too. It's not actually the like guys who play the instruments. They like act out. So it's kind of like a stage show too. So it's really funny. So the first year they did Carry On My Wayward Son. Like they did that song. And it's like they change some of the words each time. Like other bands don't do it. They take it super seriously. It's just like these 5 guys or 4 guys, how many, because they have different lineups, in like this room, like this tiny sound room with a full band, and they catch them like talking beforehand. So they're like, we are the epitome of art rock, ha ha ha, and they're making fun of it. And so like they're talking shit. So they'll change some of the words in the song. So, and they like had like some of the song structure changed. So they had like a breakdown or something for that one. And they're like, get off your ass and carry on my wayward. So get off your ass and get a fucking job. It was like really fun. Like so then of course, dude, it was awesome. Then the next year they came out with it was something equally ridiculous. I think it was like Billy Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And Gwar did like get out of my dream, or what is it? Get out of my dreams and get into my car, or something like that. So they did that song, and then the last one they did shortly after Dave Brockie died, and they had their new singer, the dude, the big fat guy with the beard who looks like a Viking, and then the lady who was supposed to be a cyborg female robot. They did Eastern Boys and Western Girls by some like 80s pop act. And I remember hearing that song at one point. I'm like, this song, like, it's just weird. That's all I remember was the chorus of it. I'm like, this is weird. And so I hear them announce the song they're doing on the video. It's on YouTube if you look it up. And I'm like, oh God. And so they do the whole song and they're in like this sound room, and it's just fucking hilarious. So funny.
Man.
And there's actually a couple like cover songs, cover wise. I've heard some really good ones. I mean, being that like I'm a heavy punk rocker and I love like punk and metal and stuff like that. I've heard some really good ones, but I'm gonna have to throw it to probably. I used to love Social Distortion growing up, and Mike Ness has like some really good covers that he's done. And actually, I got into Johnny Cash through Social Distortion, and then it was kind of funny because I think I was singing Social Distortion's "Ring of Fire" one day. My mom was like, "Why the fuck are you singing Johnny Cash?" And she didn't say "fuck," obviously, but she's like, "Why are you saying Johnny Cash?" I'm like, "Johnny Cash, like that's a Social Distortion song." And she's like, "No, it's not. Here's the original record." And so then, like, I found out my grandmother was a big Johnny Cash fan, so like I got talked to her about that, and it was really funny. So, Social Distortion has a couple really good covers. Obviously, Maybelline by Chuck Berry is Johnny Cash's "Ring of Fire," which just mentioned. There's a Clash song they do, which is I think it's Death or Glory, and it was on some obscure soundtrack. And I found it again. I was like surfing YouTube, I'm like Social Distortion does Death or Glory. What? I don't know this one, so I had to listen to it. It was pretty good. And actually, this will be my last one, I swear. The Clash. Speaking of the Clash, one of my favorite Clash songs. Like I love the first 3 albums, but then it's like pick and choose from the rest because some of it was like weird poppy stuff, and other stuff was just like not as good. But for some reason, the song "Straight to Hell" was really like the first time I heard it, I'm like, this is really cool. It's got a really cool sound to it. It tells a story, so I was like really interested in it. I don't think I've ever heard any other band like actually cover that. So one time, I'm at Valentine's in Albany, where I live, back when we had Valentine's, and the Street Dogs were playing, and they did one of the like regular cover songs, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then they started playing it. They're like, we've never played this one before, we're gonna try it though, and they kicked that off, and I'm just like, holy shit. And like me and 2 of my friends just like charged to the front and we're singing into the mic with Mike McColgan. So it was really funny because there was some people who were like, what the fuck is this? And then there's like a bunch of guys who like love the Clash. It's just like, I know this song, I have to sing it. So it was super fun.
Right on. All right, so let's jump into a little bit of Destiny. It's barely about Destiny, barely a Destiny topic. So whenever you turn on your PlayStation, usually you don't have to do anything because Destiny's already in there, right? You're just
Already
good to
there.
go. But sometimes you do change that disc. When you change the disc, how tough is it to play that other game with your just Destiny controls so ingrained in everything? And then on top of that, are there any games that you bought, you're like, yes, I'm excited for this game, and then you just like haven't touched because Destiny?
That's the perfect summary.
Scary?
Yes, like all of them, and it's a problem. It's funny. I find that if I do want to play another game, I essentially have to buy it for PC, because when I turn on my PlayStation, I just play Destiny. Like it may as well be a full-time Destiny box, like, and so I have it as a download. I don't have a disc for it or anything. And I have other games that are on disc, and I just never put them in. To name a couple, there was the new Black Ops. I used to play Black Ops 2 was my jam. I loved that game. And none of the Call of Duty since have been worth playing at all. But mostly because of Destiny. Like Destiny just feels so good. I think there's something. It seems superficial, but the physics in a game. Like when you're running and you like pull up a heavy weapon and it looks like it has some weight to it. It feels weighty. Those games feel good to me. And when you're running around in a game and you may as well just be floating, like your head just doesn't even move when you're running, I can't play those games,
Right.
And that's how Call of Duty games feel to me now. And the same with like Titanfall, The Division, all of these games that came out that had great trailers. Battlefield 1, like I loved the Battlefield games. But man, I don't play that game anymore. Like I played it like the first week it came out, and then that was it. The only one that I do ever play is Overwatch. Overwatch is still good, but it's a wholly different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, play that on PC. I can't play any other game on PS4. Like the controls for Destiny are just too good.
Right. You gonna get Destiny 2 on PC?
This is a hot debate right now. Internally, just in myself, like I'm constantly, there's a war going on, with PC and PS4. But then also like my normal like raid group of friends. I don't know. I think they're all going to stick on PS4, and so that definitely makes me lean in that direction. But man, I don't know, 60 frames per second and that field of view slider, Like, you know, it's gonna
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah.
Ultra wide support, you know, like I don't know.
man.
I don't know if the truth is I'm gonna get both. That's the answer. I'm gonna get both.
Spoken
And
like the
if I'm playing
businessman.
PvP, you know, I'm gonna be on PC, and if I'm raiding with my buddies, it'll probably be on PS4.
Right.
I don't think I answered the whole question, but I talked enough. That's
Well,
for
you
sure.
don't play anything else on your PS4, so it can't affect your controls in, say, Overwatch.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That I did answer the question. I totally answered. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Good enough. Scott, what about you?
Oh, it's funny. We were talking about this earlier. For the first time in probably a year, I actually took the Destiny disc out of my PS4 and I popped in something I hadn't touched since switching up to PS4. Borderlands: The Handsome Collection. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I absolutely love Borderlands. That is the game that got me back into playing video games. I have spent just stupid amounts of time running around the what is it? The Divide, I think it is, Three Horns Divide, where the Bullymongs are, as like a full powered assassin or psycho, just running around smashing shit because I think it's funny. And that game was like the first. I wasn't big on first person shooters before that. So it was one of those things where like I got on and I was like, man, this game, it seems really amazing. One of my friends actually got me into it. He's like, you got to play this. You'll love it. And I'm like, I don't really like first person shooters, you know, and then they start cracking like butt jokes and poop jokes. I'm like, this game's funny. Like, it's not like a bunch of idiots running around in Call of Duty where it's like 12-year-olds who are like YOLO swag 420 no scoping you and they're like, hi, teabag you. It's like, yeah. It's like, shut up and put your mom on the phone. You know, so it's one of those things where like that got me back into playing games a different way. So I popped that in last night, installed it, and a couple of my clanmates were on the Borderlands kick because that was on sale this week. So like we're all playing together, like reliving that nostalgia from for them PS3, for me it was 360, and I'm like, man, this game is, I love this game so much. But I started playing it and I had to take an immediate break right before you get out of Claptrap's shack to remap my buttons because I was trying to melee things and it was the grenade button or something, and there was another button that was different. I'm like, I can't do this fucking setup. So I remapped these buttons to Destiny controls and I'm like, okay, I should do better now. Not so. I still did all right. I found out I'm a better sniper in Borderlands for some reason than I am in Destiny.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird.
So
like
heads
anybody,
are smaller in Borderlands.
yeah, maybe it's more zoom on the scope. Maybe it's because the enemies move slower. I don't really know. Like because Steve's played with me before, and I tell everybody, I'm like, I'm a scrub with potato aim. I tried playing with a hand cannon. It was fun, but I just couldn't do it. You know, so like when it was the Matador meta, I was like, yeah, shotgun warrior for life. But like now, I'm just like, oh god, fuck sidearms. They're so boring, and Icebreaker is just like, you know, it's Icebreaker. So it's fun, but it's like, just everybody's using it. I'm like, oh man, this is not fun at all for me. So getting back, I'm playing Borderlands and I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. Everything feels slow and clunky. Like I'm so used to the movement in Destiny, and the gun handling and everything in Destiny, which is stupid smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, you know, like I said, I've been playing Destiny for about a year now when I upgraded to PS4. So I hadn't played anything else. Like I think I played Star Wars Battlefront for a week before playing Destiny, and then that was it. And so like I went through the phase of playing Destiny, and then I started playing with like really hardcore players, like some of my clanmates and stuff. Some of the people from the DGS Discord now who were with them on Slack, like they went in and they did PvP drills with me to try and help me out. Like, so getting like, you know, I main a Titan. So like Scary, you were saying before, the movement of the Titan is just in Destiny. It's good. You know, I PvP, I'm Titan skating everywhere I can. I'm using Twilight Garrison now, so I'm bouncing back and forth. I mean, there's just so many. It's like quick movement and it's smooth. And like you want to switch from your primary to a sniper and pull off a quick scope and then switch back, you can do that instantly in Destiny. Like I don't do it in PvP because, like I said, I get fucking wrecked all the time. But if I'm running like in a raid or something, and I got a swarm of enemies, and I got like a knight or something, and I'm like, I got to take this guy out, or he's gonna fucking wreck me with that spot, the fire spit, like the Taken Knights do. I can charge forward, drop a grenade, jump up in the air, like Twilight Garrison back, Titan skate back, whatever. Toss another grenade because armamentarium, and then pull off a snipe or a rocket, and then get down and set up with my auto rifle before the swarm catches up to me. Or like if I'm running at that point, I can just get through everything and then like back off and then have my super ready to go, so when I hit the ground I pop my super and then just wipe out the herd of thrall coming towards me or something like that. I tried doing that in Borderlands last night, and I got fucking smashed by like 4 adult bullymongs. I'm like, this is bullshit. If this was fucking Destiny, I would have got these fuckers already. And I was playing with Big Bear, my clan leader, and like we're running around the snow map. I think it was Three Horns Divide, and he's like it's just this long distance run. There's no catch a ride stations, so we're like, fuck, we gotta walk. And it's going to take forever because you're already walking slower in Borderlands than you are in Destiny. So I'm just, fine. I'll walk like a fucking peasant, so like, time to run. And like at one point I hit the pad button, and I go to hit square just like without even thinking or looking. I'm just like pad square because that's how you pull up your Sparrow in Destiny. And I'm like, oh shit. He's like, what? I was like, I just tried to pull up my Sparrow. And Big Bear's like, don't worry, I did that too. We're like, all right. So I mean, and I woke up this morning. The only way I can really compare it is like I woke up this morning and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I'm sorry, Borderlands. Like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore.
They need a new updated version.
Yeah, we had some fun and it was great while it lasted, but I can't like main that anymore. That time has passed, and like going back, like I even playing on my Warlock this morning, and Steve knows how much I like fucking hate playing Warlock because the jump is trash.
Yeah, dude.
Like, oh my god, it's so much better than Borderlands last night. It's like, even the Warlock jump is better than Borderlands. So, and it's not taking anything away from that. I fucking love that game, but holy crap, man, it was just like a lesson in like experience, like switching from one to the other. That's why I can't believe people are just like, man, Destiny this and this. Like, have you played these games back to back? It's fucking smooth, man.
Right.
Dude, what feels so good about the movement of Destiny 2, or at least part of it, I think, is that as you get good at the game, as you're more experienced and whatnot, you can, like, that experience translates into being quicker. Like when you first start playing the game, you're not skating around, you're not Warlock surfing, you don't have the bones of AO, and you don't know to use better control rather than triple jump. Like those are things that you don't know when you first get started. And so as you get more experience, you're like physically better at the game, and that's not something that every game can say. Like a lot of those games, especially games like your Call of Duties and things like that. I never actually played Borderlands, so I can't really comment on that. But from what I understand about Borderlands is like it's more of a loot grind, right? Like you get better loot, and that makes you better. So better meaning like you can survive more, you do more damage, things like that. But in Destiny, it really does feel like I'm sure it's more nuanced than that. But from what I understand,
it's kind of not. I mean, it's cool stuff. Like the way the gun system and the shield system works, it's like, oh great, this shield has 835 versus the one I have, which is 600. Awesome. And it's not like Destiny where it's like, you're playing and you're like, oh, I need to get that fucking Luna. I'm gonna smoke so many people in Crucible when I get that perfect Luna, or like, I gotta get a sleeper because I need that for the raid. I need a sleeper simulant so I can burn Atheon or Crota down in like 2 seconds. They don't have that. Like the guns are all randomly generated in Borderlands, and they have different pieces that are like barrel mods and stuff, so it gives different, like, they handle differently and they shoot differently based on those parts. But it's like apparently a complete RNG from like a pool.
Mm.
So they just spin it, and whatever it comes up with, like that, and then your rarity level, and then
Yeah.
there's different ones that are rare, like rarity levels or whatever. So it's like you can play the whole game with green weapons and be good, you know. But like personally, the amount of time I've played that game, I've gotten like 2 or 3 of their version of an exotic weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. Like, don't get me wrong, my favorite fucking like quote unquote exotic in Borderlands is a sniper with a rotating barrel that you can just repeater shot. It's insane. But it still doesn't feel like good. And the problem with that is, like, for me at least, is like there's just so much things that you can get, and it's like there's no clear path to use them. It's just like dumping a bunch of Legos on the floor and saying,
Mhm.
here, build stuff. And like you can build like whatever, you know, a house or a truck or fucking, I don't know, what else you can build with Legos. That's all I ever built with Legos.
Right.
Like you can build some stuff and it's like, okay, that's cool, but they're all generic pieces, so it's great what you came up with. Whereas in Destiny, it's like setting out a full set of Legos and
Mhm.
saying you can build A, B, C, or D with this, but one of them is better than the other, and that one of them is going to be fantastic. You know, it's like that's how you get into the builds with Destiny and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And again, I'm just like, this is my like personal preference and opinion. You know, like that's how we got the Fun Police type build. You know, for like the
Mhm.
Defender type. That's how we got like Sunspot hammers. That's how we got the super agile Blade Dancer with Mida and like I think it's Radiant Dance Machines.
Mhm.
They call it Greased Lightning or some fucking silly name like that. Like somebody was telling me about that. And I was playing on my Hunter. They're like, "Have you tried that?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "Dude, it's
pretty
insane."
ridiculous. Yeah. I don't know if do Radiant Dance Machines stack with First Curse?
I don't know if they
This is
stack
off
with-
topic. Sorry, Steve.
Not sure.
I know they stack with Mida.
Barely play Hunter.
They might have done that before.
I gotta try that out.
Oh man.
But yeah, so Destiny still has that loot grind, which is dope. And I do like that it has those like super powerful weapons that you can just go and get, especially like Sleeper
Yeah.
and now Galahorn and stuff and Black Spindle. You could just go get those, you know. And there's a skill ceiling there, but like even just I don't know, when you're a new player playing the game and you see a Titan skating, like you're like, whoa, what the hell? How is this guy doing that? And I love that there's just like a physical, there's like it's physical. You have to physically be able to do that, you know, and that just
Mhm.
takes practice. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes other games feel like they feel so limiting. You know, there are no happy accidents, you know, in other games. And I know Titan skating, they're getting rid of it to a certain degree, which does
Right.
bum me out.
So props for Bungie for not getting rid of it in Destiny 1. They're like, they figured this thing out.
Very true.
It was in what we built. Leave
Very
it in there.
true.
And they did that with a lot of stuff.
It's interesting, actually. Crucible Radio, not to get too off topic, but Crucible Radio, shout out to those guys because it's one of the first podcasts that got me into Destiny, keeps me playing Destiny, and got me playing PvP, actually. They did a really cool breakdown episode of like games and like mechanics and how Destiny 2 could work. This is before anybody knew anything about Destiny 2, really. It was just rumors on the horizon. They were talking about like actual intended gameplay versus developed or like what's the word? Like basically gameplay the community figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So like Titan skating and Warlock surfing was like the number one example of that. They're like, this wasn't intended, but the community figured it out and ran with it, and it's now a thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they were saying that like that is the coolest thing about Destiny is like we have people who like their whole thing is like, how can I break this game today and figure
Right.
out like a way to use this break to make me better or something like that. And it's not like necessarily trying to like hack it to cheat, you know, like you see in some other games and stuff like that. It's like, you know, the Titan skating with the jumping and canceling the jump motion and whatever, and you're just looking at that like, you know, exactly like Scary said, you're like in the Crucible and you see this Titan go cruising by, you're like, what the fuck was that?
man.
It makes me so happy too. Like, because it looks so ridiculous. I remember seeing like a little GIF or something a long time ago that was just captioned, "This is Destiny's tank class," and it was just this Titan just like flying by so fast. And
That's
it's like,
amazing.
and we love it.
Gosh. Yeah,
Like,
we
we
love it.
love that.
Yeah.
One
Oh,
of the
man.
one of the best moments of that. Sorry, Steve. This is my last thing. I swear. So like one of my favorite things with that was that my buddy Gray Fox Freedom, who got me into Destiny and actually Borderlands, so this is all his fault. He mained a Titan in year 1, a Warlock in year 2, and a Hunter in year 3. And he's pretty casual, you know, like he played through it with us and stuff, but he wouldn't like go out and he doesn't listen to like Crucible Radio and stuff. He just kind of, you know, he doesn't go out and like check raid strats and stuff. He just kind of like joins up with us and is like, okay, tell me what you want me to do. And he's pretty good. So like he found, I guess we'll call it helicoptering on the Warlock. Like he got, I think it's the Angel of Light perk with the Sunsinger where you float in the air anytime you ADS.
Mhm.
And his favorite gun of all time is Lord of Wolves because it's like a pulse shotgun. So he just is like running around Bannerfall one day and he's like, I just invented something called the Flying Wolf. I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, check this out. So he sends me video that he captured of like him just running through Bannerfall and he jumps up on one of the like the little bridges between the double doors in the in this tower. And he jumps and boosts, and he's just floating along like a helicopter because he ADSs. And there's people just running under him, not paying attention, and he's just raining down on him with Lord of Wolves, like like killing everything. I'm like, I was like, I can't even begin to explain how wrong this is, and yet I'm like, there's so many reasons this should not be working right now, and yet you just fucking got like a, you know, fucking breaker metal with this thing. You know, so it's just shit like that that makes me laugh about Destiny.
I gotta try that now.
Oh,
I don't
it's-
like playing Warlock, but I'll do it for that.
It's so dumb, but it's so funny. He's just like literally flying along like a Black Hawk, and like Black Hawk helicopter with like a fucking machine gun out the side, just murdering people. I'm like, God, these people are not looking up at all.
Oh my god.
Go for it,
Oh,
Steve.
man. So for me, I've been playing Mass Effect here and there, which I put it in the other day and was really saddened to find out I only made it like 25% of the way through the game. I was like, wow, how? I was like, the thing that of like planet viabilities only has 5 planets. I'm completely done with 3. How is it 25%? Anyway, so I keep trying to do Destiny things in Mass Effect, like slide. But in Mass Effect, when you hit when you hit circle in Mass Effect, it's like a scoot along the ground boost thing. So I just keep randomly like shooting to the side or like up or something. And then every time I go to melee, I have this like area of effect javelin thing that they do. And that's my power for that button. Melee is Y. So, not Y.
Yeah.
It's an Xbox. I didn't hit triangle. It's triangle. But anyway, so like I keep going to melee and I just throw this thing and I always miss because I'm not trying to aim it at that point. I'm like, crap, no, it's this other button. But I won't switch the controls though, like Scott did. Not my thing. But my biggest curse is the games that I have bought and just not touched. I have
Yep.
I have
Because
Skyrim.
Destiny.
Yeah, because Destiny. Skyrim, still in the wrapper. Fallout 3, still in the wrapper. That was a gift for my 360, but I still intend to play it because it's supposed to be really good. Still in the wrapper. The Last of Us, still in the wrapper.
Oh, okay, now that one you should actually probably give it
No,
a shot because that
that's-
one's good.
Yeah, no, it's next. After I beat Mass Effect, I'm going to definitely do The Last of Us. But yeah, Destiny eats all my time, and when I'm like, I want to play another game today, I actually have to add more time to my video gaming, like, plan or whatever to play the other game because I'm not sacrificing any Destiny time. It just has to be.
It's yep. I can
yeah.
verify that, man. I was like,
I was playing Borderlands last night, and as I was finishing up, I'm like, do I want to finish on Borderlands or do I want to go back to Destiny? I should probably go to Destiny because my Warlock is level 33. I need to get him to 40 so I can like start knocking out those nodes on the Warlock page in the book, and or I should say finish knocking out those nodes. I'm like, yeah, but I'm falling asleep on the couch right now. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I need to go to bed. No Destiny tonight. So I definitely, and I was doing the same thing, dude. Last night I was trying to slide, and like, so like I'm charging like what I love to do as a Titan in Destiny, of course, when I'm playing like PvE patrols and strikes and shit. I know where the guys are going to be, so I'll just basically like either Titan skate or like sprint into a firefight. And the first thing I do is slide in and either shotgun or fusion rifle or do something stupid like that because I think it's funny. I can't do it in PvP, so I want to do it in PvE.
Right.
So like I go book it in and I'll like slide in and shotgun a couple enemies, then melee, and then so on and so forth. Just like chain through them. I'm like, hi, that was great. I just totally like wiped out all these like fucking thrall or like dregs or something, and I just laugh at it. Well, I was trying to do that last night with the assassin in Borderlands, and I'd like run into this firefight, and I'd hit circle and he'd crouch down, and I'm like, what? No, you gotta. Oh, wait a minute. There's no sliding in this game. And I think it was one of the other times, like the melee in that game is super weak. Like compared to Destiny.
Mhm.
So like, and I'm not just talking on like Warlock, because Warlock, I never run a shotgun because that melee is like a fucking shotgun. So it's like you're carrying an extra, it's like you're carrying an extra weapon. So like even with Titan, I'll punch, I'll melee, or like a hunter, I'll melee with a knife, and like it's like one hit kills on lower level enemies. I'm going up against like, I'm level like 8 or 9, I think it was, in Borderlands as an assassin, and I'm going up against like level 3, 5 marauders and psychos and stuff, and I'm punching them and they're not dying, and I'm like, why the fuck are you not dying? I just punched you like 6 times. And so it was like a shock to the system. Like, I got to change my game style because I can't run shotgun slide melee like I usually do in Destiny.
Oh man! Speaking of sliding in Destiny, something that a lot of people I don't think know that I use all the time is you can shoulder charge out of a slide.
Oh God,
Yes,
I've
you
heard.
can.
And it's beautiful. They never expect it. They're like, the shotgun's coming, and then you stand back up and shoulder charge them. And it's...
I think you can slide shotgun shoulder charge.
Yes.
I think you can get a shotgun
Yes.
in before you do another shoulder charge, as long as you get the timing right.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
I think that was actually mentioned this week on it was another podcast. I forgot. I think it was Planet Destiny. Somebody was like, they admitted to it. They're like, "Yep, I'm that scumbag." Like slide shoulder charge shotgun. That's me. Oh God,
Oh,
Shoulder
yeah.
charge is just so good.
It is. I
fun.
used Jug for the first time today ever.
Oh yeah.
First time.
What were you playing?
I was playing Clash, but the point was I was helping a friend get her sword kills in the Crucible for the exotic sword quest. So I was running out in front with Jug Shield, and I would punch the person once and then get out of the way so she could come in and hit him with the sword hilt. It was working out pretty alright. We got it done in 4 matches, so not too bad.
I do like that strategy.
It was good. That was the only time
Just
I ever
being the
used
meat
red.
shield.
Yeah.
That's similar. When we were doing Moments of Triumph for year 2, Steve knows him because we've played with him if we were raiding with him. I make him quack.
Mm-hmm.
It was right about the time that like the auto rifle meta was going away, and it was like slowly switching over to something else. Like hand cannons were still good, but it was like whatever was before pulse rifle, like before that Grasp and Malak Clever Dragon meta. So like I'm running around going, I can't get a fucking kill with an auto rifle to save my life. I'm like, I'm either having to throw a melee in there so I don't die, or I'm getting burned down before I can get these people because I don't have a bullet hose. So I'm talking to like Quack and a couple other people. So we start playing. I think it was actually Control. And Quack's like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run in front of you with Thorn. And he goes, I'm gonna hit him twice with Thorn, and then you clean him up, and that should do enough. I'm like, all right. So we're running around, and he's like this warlock in a bright white and purple shader or something. And he's got like Thorn and something else. So he's just being like, he said he had his, I think he said he had his scumbag loadout on or something. So he's running around with like year 1 Thorn and like a shotgun or something. He's like, ping, ping. And then he ducks and he's like, all right, go for it. So I'd hit him. And because like the DOT with Thorn was like burning him down, he helped me finish my year 2 moments of triumph like that. And it was so funny because people were just getting hit with Thorn and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No new Thorn yet either, so.
No, it wasn't new Thorn. It was like the 160 Thorn. So they're like, oh, this Warlock's like 220. I'm going to fucking light this scrub up. And then he hits with Thorn. And I'm just like, oh, fuck me.
Oh, man. All right, so let's talk some D2 stuff. Most of the D2 topics we have today are D2 hot buttons, things that people are upset about or talking about a lot. First one is a little bit of a bake, is the frame rate thing, D2 frame rate. Who cares? You like Destiny, right? It's 30 frames per second. You're going to still like Destiny 2 at 30 frames per second. It's something I don't think people have accounted for. And me and Scary were talking about this last week, alright, so I have a regular PS4. I do not have a PS4 Pro. The PS4 Pro, in quotes, cannot run Destiny 2 at 4K 60 frames per second, right? Even if it could, do you really think the older PS4s could do that? I don't. So then all those people are going to miss out. And then you've got an unfair thing going on in console. There's this theory that the Scorpio would have been able to run it at 60, but the PS4 can't. There's also an imbalance there too. The reason I think it's still fine on PC is because PC is its own thing, uncapped. PC's gaming communities are like that already. So there would be an imbalance between the consoles, even the same consoles, PS4 to PS4 Pro, where, if you say you're like a hair not as good and you have a PS4 Pro that runs it at 60 and you're going in a one-on-one against someone that has an older PS4 running at 30, you go head to head, the guy that's running at 60 is going to get the win in a trade situation. So I think it's good that they locked the consoles at 30. We'll get 60 in the next gen console. I don't think it's a big deal. What do you guys think? Frame rates.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the rules with games on the PS4 Pro. I don't know anything about Xbox, so I'll just throw that out there right now. But I think it's one of the rules that Sony has that in competitive games you can't up the frame rate for the Pro. And so I would imagine that the same is true but opposite too, that if the regular PS4, whatever, the launch PS4, could run it at 1080p 60, I don't think they could do that. I think the frame rate has to be the same. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It would definitely create an unfair advantage for somebody to have 60 over somebody that has 30. And it's why PC gaming doesn't appeal to some people. Because they feel if they can't spend enough money, they feel like they're at a disadvantage, which, I think if you can't have a dope graphics card, maybe just turn the settings down, like frame rate, you definitely want that. You don't need like extra high fidelity shadows, at the expense of frame rate. But yeah, I think that I don't know. If you're playing Destiny 2 on PS4 at 30 frames per second and having a good time with your friends, I don't think that you're going to be worried about the frame rate that much.
No.
So I don't get I guess I don't really get the criticism other than, other games can do it, but why can't Destiny?
Yeah.
But then again, Destiny's a different game. You know what I mean? Like it's so. There was a post that made it to the front of the Destiny the Game Reddit today where somebody went through and just said like all the crazy stuff that happens inside of Destiny, like you know, like you kill these crazy gods and, you know, yada yada. They just listed it out.
Mhm.
And you know,
Yeah.
you travel in time and do these raids and, you know, whatever. And it's like, yeah, Destiny's a crazy game and it's different from any other game. That's what makes it special. It's like if you just want a competitive shooter, CS:GO is still out there, and so is Call of Duty. You know, and they're going to prioritize frame rate over anything on
Exactly.
console.
And
Why wouldn't
yeah,
they?
exactly.
Mhm.
Like
It's like
people
the whole
keep
point of the game.
people keep comparing it to Overwatch and Call of Duty and stuff, and it's like
Mm.
if you really look into it, Call of Duty and Overwatch are small games. They have like the biggest variety you have in there is your maps and your loadouts. That's it. They don't care. There's no campaign at all in Overwatch, and the Call of Duty. Whoever plays the campaign in Call of Duty, I've never heard of that being a thing. Like people are like, I bought Call of Duty and I put it in and started PvP. There's a campaign mode, really? No, but Destiny
Yeah.
is massive. You gotta like it's totally massive, and Destiny 2 is even bigger. So that would be so difficult to be able to bring the same quality PvP at 60 frames per second as Overwatch or Call of Duty to Destiny when Destiny is just a much broader game with so much more options to do. So I don't know, I just don't think it would have been even possible necessarily to compare those two and to bring the 60 frames per second with how big it really is.
Yeah. I mean, that was my thing when this came up in discussion earlier this week, and I said literally my only complaints with Destiny 2, the way it as it stands right now with what we know about it, the only complaints I have are 60 frames per second and dedicated servers. Somebody's like, "Why are you complaining about that?" I said, "I'm not. It's at the point where it's like, if you're gonna get a cheeseburger, why would and it's the same thing. Why would you not get bacon on that cheeseburger? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean, I
it's
have my
not-
own reasons for that, but
Well, that's something different, but I mean, you know,
I just
like
don't
you,
take on swine.
yeah, you like the cheeseburger, right? Okay, we'll say for the simplicity of the equation here, you like the cheeseburger, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if you like the cheeseburger and you get the bacon with it, it's going to be extra good. That doesn't mean the cheeseburger is going to be absolute garbage without the bacon. You know?
Mhm.
And somebody's going to take issue with this, I know. But again, we're simplifying this. And if you want me to switch it over so we don't not include bacon with our cheeseburger, we'll say, you know, we'll use cars as an example, and we can segue to another topic if you want after this, Steve. If you're gonna get the top of the line like Challenger, the Hellcat SRT, are you gonna bother like getting the cloth interior? I'm not. I want leather race car seats in my crazy insano supercar. You know what I mean? And maybe the Challenger's not a supercar, but now we're splitting hairs and off topic again. So it's one of those things where it's like you're already like this game, and I forget who said it. It might have been said a couple times by a couple different people, but somebody said, "So wait a minute. You're telling me that my super buttery smooth shooter game that is crazy that you go through time and kill space gods and like all this other absolute fucking nutty shit that I've dumped over 1,000 hours into and still continue to play 3 years later
Mhm.
is still going to be that crazy game, but it's not at 60 frames per second." You can't sit there and say, "Oh, it's got all this great stuff, but because it's not 60 frames per second or dedicated servers, it's literally unplayable." Like, I understand the lag issue,
Mhm.
but think about what somebody just said. Okay, so the PvP experience might suck if you live in like the middle of the fucking Australian outback or something, or like you're someplace where it's not a big city, or maybe you don't have good internet choices, like that's the other thing. And I get the like losing to people who lag is a really frustrating thing. Like 100%. I totally sympathize with that. That's why I can't stream when I play PvP. It's not because I don't want people to see how terrible I am. Because I don't it's because my connection goes to red bar and I'm getting fucking like just wiped out, and I don't want people like sending reports to my account. "Oh, this guy was red bar. He's fucking lag switching." No, I have a fucking cable company that sucks ass, and they won't give me any more. I have to pay like twice what it is to get like 30 megabytes per second up or down and 5 up. Whereas if I go across the river from where I live now, I can get 120 both ways for like half the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like not all factors are feeding into that. And even if you get dedicated servers for Destiny 2, and this is like another like big / topic thing. Like I talked to a few people who were like pretty hardcore into competitive gaming in other scenes or were in the past, you know, and I asked them like, what's the deal with dedicated servers? Because I'm not a network guy. I don't really know too much about like competitive gaming and the ins and outs. Servers, and like dedicated servers will only eliminate part of the problem, you know, and it's a guaranteed fix, and it's a shitload of money. So, I mean, are there connection issues? Yes. But based on some of the things they've told us, it seems like they're at least trying to reduce them. So I guess we'll see what happens. But it's one of those things where it's like there's no surefire thing. And everybody's like, well, just ban you if you don't have good internet. It's like then you're basically telling people who paid money for your product, hey, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't care.
And that's
about
not what – yeah, that's exactly, like that's not what Bungie is looking to do. You know, they're trying to deliver the best game they can. And then, you know, anybody who's like, oh, Bungie shills, yeah, whatever, eat a dick. It's true. Like, you know, you don't. They said it on one of their like raid alongs. They're like, we're not trying to make a broken game. We're trying to make the best possible product we can for the most possible people. So there's a lot of compromises and trade-offs that have to happen.
Yeah, I think they covered the dedicated service thing pretty well in the weekly update or
that
this
was
week this week at Bungie. Yeah, and I mean the reality is that if you mentioned like in the middle of the Australian outback, dedicated servers are not going to help that person.
Right.
You know, you just wouldn't.
You got bad internet.
Well, because it's not even bad internet. It's literally a distance thing at that point. Like, if you're in the Australian outback and there isn't a server farm near you where the dedicated server is, like if it's not physically in that same outback that you're in, like your connection is still gonna suck. So it doesn't. Right. I mean, it obviously doesn't solve all the problems, and it sounds like they're on it, you know, and. As far as I'm concerned, like my connections are normally pretty good, you know. Like I don't know, I think that it hits people at the very top of the PvP spectrum pretty hard, you know. Like you hear the really good players complain about matching against the same people over. And no, well, I think that if it's the skill based stuff, if it's taking skill into account more than connection, that's probably not. Yeah. But again, that's a thing that only Bungie knows that formula. So like, I don't know. I don't know if I can really have a super informed opinion on it other than, you know, like I've played trials against some people that were literally in Germany and that wasn't great. Other than that, it's been pretty good, you know? And like, I'm not saying those people had bad internet, but it's just a really far distance. Like that's incredible. It's an incredible distance. Like it's gonna take some time for data to go back and forth, whether there's a server in between us or not. I don't know.
There was actually a really good breakdown of like how the software industry works, like the development process and how sort of large companies deal with different issues and stuff like that on I think it was actually Crucible Radio, funny enough.
Yeah, Birds had the
exactly. Yeah, he had that episode, that solo episode where he's like explaining to everybody, like breaking down how a game comes to terms, and he starts talking about like they're faced with a bunch of shitty options at some point, especially with Destiny because of all the turmoil that happened before it released. So they're like they had to pick the least shitty option that was going to work most of the time. You know, and think about it too. It's been like 3 years. So the reason we're hearing so many stories about like, oh, it was terrible lag and this, that, and the other, it's like it's because it's been 3 years and like a shitload of people are still playing this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah, and you know, people definitely have rose-tinted glasses about the beginnings of Destiny PvP. Like it was just so long ago and so early in the game that like you weren't always sure what to expect, you know, like you didn't necessarily know what the damage numbers should be, and then you get a headshot and the damage numbers are wrong and it counted for a body or what, you know what I mean? Like, see, I just don't think you noticed that stuff back then, or, you know, your flame shield was delayed and you got killed because of it or something. Like you wouldn't have noticed it as much as you do now. Now, you know, when you get that melee and it connects, you know exactly when that flame shield should come up, or, you know, when your force barrier should come up or whatever. ever, because you've been playing the game nonstop for 3 years.
Yeah.
In most cases, yeah.
Yeah, you know exactly when, like, you could just like time it in your head. You don't even have to see the gameplay. You could just hear the sound and then know when it should be up. So
It's like
yeah,
muscle memory and reaction. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you know how far.
totally like that.
Yeah, and you know which corners you're going to get hung up on if you don't take the turn right and stuff. Like, you just know all that stuff way more now than you used to, and so yeah, lag matters because you know exactly how it should be playing.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was ever any better, but I do think that the skill based stuff, it gets weird. I hope that they have a solution for that in D2.
Yeah.
I will say there was one time we had, I think it was actually a couple weeks ago, where we just finished something that was a fucking dumpster fire. I think it was a raid, might have been King's Fall, I don't remember. And it was just like everybody was about to rage quit, and they're like, "All right, fuck this. We're gonna go play." Yeah, actually, it probably was King's Fall because it was Iron Banner week. We're like, "All right, we're just gonna go play some Iron Banner, just chill out. It'll be fun. We got a team of 6. We're all reasonably okay players. I say I'm fucking terrible, but I have 5 other teammates who will help me out, and I can play a little bit of support with them. Like, the people I play with enough, so I'm like, okay, I can do whatever. And we came into this one lobby where it was like this fucking warlock who had like a red bar for 3 straight matches, and he was teleporting, like not blink teleporting, but actual fucking bouncing through walls, whatever. And it was just like, it got to the point where we were all just like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with Destiny until reset, maybe longer. And this was like a Friday night, because we all just basically like took the weekend off because it was the most rage-inducing night, and that was all due to lag.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, then that fucking scumbag starts like teabagging and sending like shitty messages and stuff, and we're just like, all right, dude, fuck this guy. So for like 3 rounds, we were all trying to chase this guy down and kill him, and he was in some fucking like, he just lagged out of everything. So we all basically like sat there like, what do we even do? We can't catch this guy because his internet connection is so fucking bad. Like, we gotta get out. So
Yeah, you do what you can. Yeah, go ahead. We should move on.
Something else that's been causing a lot of salt is no Grimoire cards in D2.
Ooh, I actually didn't hear about this.
Yeah, the lore is going to be in-game scannable objects, and people are pissed. I think the most vocal I've seen so far has been a non-pig, which his argument makes sense because those lore guys have to be able to access the lore, and if they haven't done everything yet, how are they going to get to the stuff to like create the content that we all like to listen to? So
Steve and I,
go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we were talking about this today earlier. Actually, there was a tweet that came out yesterday that I saw from Captain Kex, who did the Lorg mind map kind of thing. And he's worked with Destiny Ghost Stories, Focus Fire Chat, Destiny Lorecast. There's like, basically all the main places where you go to learn about the lore of Destiny that most other people are just like, what? Destiny has a story? Like, basically the way we all find out about it. He sent a tweet to one of the Bungie guys. I forget who it was. It wasn't Luke Smith. It wasn't Josh Hamrick. It was one of the other project leads, though. And they basically responded and said, like, weapons and armor and like all the stuff right now that has API access to get like stuff, they're like it's not going to have, like, lore is not going to be in the API, right? So you're not going to be able to use like Ishtar Collective to pull up the Grimoire cards that you don't have. And like when you and I were talking about this earlier today, I said, you know what, the crazy thing about this is, like, think about how many times you've, like, somebody tells you about something in Destiny, some part of the story, and you're just like, whoa, I didn't know about that. Where'd you hear about it? And they say, oh, Ghost Fragment, whatever. So like you go to Ishtar Collective, you punch in Ghost Fragment, Fallen 6 or something, and you hear a story about the Fallen leaving the Cosmodrome. I think that was the most recent one. Or like Ghost Fragment, Cade 6, or whatever. The one where Cade is Googling, like basically using. Yeah, horse people. Were we hit by horse people? So like that's really just like something that's like a hilarious piece of Destiny lore that, if we didn't go and complete that activity for whatever reason, say it was hidden or we just didn't know, we couldn't find it, whatever, you wouldn't know about that. And so you lose out on that piece of story, which I think is really cool, or something that can be like pretty important, something like Osiris, with the lighthouse. Like there's all sorts of. I've never been to the lighthouse. I know Ben and Steve have said they haven't. I'm not a PvP guy, so obviously that's why. But like there's a Grimoire card for the lighthouse, and there's some really interesting things in there that when you read that lighthouse Grimoire card that you can only get by going flawless, there's some really interesting like implications when you start putting it together with other Osiris like cards and Vex cards and things, like basically how Osiris ties to the Vex, and maybe there's some stuff in there that I think it was a New Monarchy team, so now like there's something about New Monarchy that seems to come like way out of left field, because New Monarchy's typical like defense is, or their typical like thing is we have to defend the city, we have to crown a king and get rid of the speaker, and I'm using like a broad sweeping generalization, like broad sweeping summary here in interest of time, but it's one of those things like you wouldn't find this stuff out, and being that we have an Osiris DLC coming in D2, that's kind of important. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be game breaking. It's not going to be like, wow, this one piece of information I got from this lighthouse card in Destiny 1 could have told me so much, and like maybe it doesn't, but it's one of those things where you're actively, like we were talking about before with the PS4 and the connection thing, you're sort of like ruling players out from finding more about your game, and that's like the individual perspective. From the content creator's perspective, I think it was actually Focus Fire Chat, they talked about this for a while. It's one of those things where it's kind of crazy, and full disclosure, in that tweet from the Bungie guy, and again I forget his name, who I think he was replying to Captain Kex, he said lore is not currently in the API. He says it's not in the API, it's not really being talked about, but that could change. So they could change their mind and say, just add the lore to the API before we go live, and we'll, and I mean, yeah, and it's not a thing where you just snap your fingers and it happens, but they could decide that they need to do that because these content creators like Bife, like Destiny Ghost Stories, like Destiny Lorecast, like Focus Fire Chat, like all the stuff that we listen to at work, on our off time, in the car, whatever, like when we're not playing the game, sometimes people listen to it while playing the game, they really helped tell this story of Destiny and the story behind and I was talking to my clanmates about this, and they're like, great, good, the Grimoire was fucking stupid, this, and this. I'm like, well, it's a mixed feeling, because I want to know about stuff, and I would love to have the main storyline in game. But think about the Dwindler's Ridge saga, The Last Word, Thorn, Jaren Ward, Shin Malphur. If you haven't read up on this, go to ishtar-collective.net. Read everything regarding The Last Word, Thorn. There's some other stuff in there. I won't spoil it, but it's probably one of the most hotly debated until recently when Bungie like confirmed stuff, and closely followed, like one of the best storylines in Destiny. It's crazy, and like just storyline wise and stuff, it's a compelling story. Like you read about it, you're like, holy crap, like who's this kid? And this guy comes to his town, and he's a guardian, and he forms a bond with this kid, but then there's like dark, supposedly he dies, and oh no, what happened? Who killed Jaren Ward? He was supposed to be like the best gunslinger hunter ever. And so now Shin Malphur takes up that, and he's like, I'm going to find who it is and kill him, basically. And again, broad, like, sweeping summary in interest of time. It's way more complex and nuanced than that. But it's an amazing story. But the thing is, it's a side story. It doesn't have to do with the main plot. It doesn't have to do with our Guardians yet. It doesn't have to do with anything in game. But it's a world building story. And it's one thing to play Destiny through and just be like, yeah, whatever. I shoot the man's cool. But then like, you listen to, again, like one of those lore outlets. Bife, Focus Fire Chat, Destiny Ghost Stories, Destiny Forecast. I think Myling Games does a bunch of stuff. There's like various stuff out there, and you're like learn about this stuff, and you're like, holy crap, there's a whole bunch of things going on here that I never knew about. I want to know more.
Yeah.
And like you get a new appreciation for the game, you know. And so I think by like completely gating that off behind in-game activities that not all players may be able to complete, whether it's a lighthouse trip in whatever form we're going to get trials in, or whether it's clearing a hard mode raid, because even though they're introducing guide games, not all people can raid. Not all raid teams are like ace slayers. You know, there's plenty of times I've tried to do a challenge mode and we've gotten left at the final boss because we just can't keep our shit together. You know, it's not any of the usual, like my Thursday night crew that I run with. They all know their stuff and they're like, yeah, we got it. Thursday night's our thing. But like sometimes I'll pick up with friends and stuff, and we fight our way to the end, just can't make it. Like there's going to be stuff that you can find out about through this that you're going to miss out on if everything is like tied behind an in-game activity.
Right.
So like I said, it's mixed feelings on that for me. I don't think Bungie's going to do that. I don't think they're going to tie everything behind like a weird game mechanic, or like, you know, in order to find out more about the Cabal, you have to kill 1,000 Cabal lieutenants. Or, you know, kill all the fucking, you know, Red Legion, like kill 20,000 Cabal dogs to find out what they are on this, you know, piece of lore. So I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're, you know, based on what they've shown so far with Destiny 2, I really think they're going to actually handle it pretty well. They've seemed to have like all the complaints from the community and have sort of figured out the best way. But a lot of people are really kind of upset about the no Grimoire thing.
Right.
I wonder if this just signals like a change to the way that the Grimoire is put in the game. You know, like people always had this idea of the library or being able to go to read the books by the speaker or something like that. And I wonder if this is a signal that that we'll get something like that, and possibly. I have mixed feelings about this, but I wonder if things like the lighthouse will be easier to achieve.
That's actually what I was referring to. Yeah,
D2. I think that for the most part, I think one of their design principles for the game is that it's playable by a 7-year-old. I remember reading this somewhere in an interview with somebody at some point, but that they want all ages to be able to play this game, and I don't think that they have any. Illusions that all ages can complete all the activities, but I do know that they want it to be accessible. So I wonder if the harsh requirements for things like trials are going to be lessened.
Right.
Because you know, getting to the lighthouse is not easy. Like it's always tough. I've only been a few times, and it's never been a walk in the park. I can tell you that. So yeah, but I would imagine that those. And again, I have mixed feelings about this, but I think some of those things might be easier in D2.
Yeah, I think too, and from the reveal at least, they made it abundantly clear that they're putting more of a focus on community, which is great because they made D1 and the community just kind of snowballed into what it is, which is fantastic, and they are running with it. So if the community wants a way to access the lore outside the game, Bungie's going to give it to them because they kind of need us as much as we need them. Like if we want to play this game, we need Bungie. But if Bungie wants to make a game for us, they need to like provide the things that we want, and we want to be able to talk about Destiny outside the game. So I'm sure they'll do something, especially because a lot of the people that are upset about the lack of Grimoire were people that were invited to the reveal, people that Bungie has basically stated, like, you are important enough that we brought you out to show this new stuff to you. and we respect your opinion and what you do for us and for this community. So I really do think, and you lore guys, hold steadfast. You'll get there. I'm sure Bungie will accommodate you somehow to make your job easier. Like, because I don't know. I just don't picture lore guys as typically the kind of people that go to the lighthouse that often. They're in it for the story.
Can't confirm. Can't confirm.
I can't say.
Source, me.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I don't know. X-Ray, Drop Slash, Gavel, any of you guys. I don't know how good you really are at Destiny. You might be really good. You might not. Who knows? But
it's interesting because it's actually like a split. Like a lot of the lore guys and stuff like that they're really into PvE. I'm not speaking on behalf of like everyone. I'm just saying my experience. I have seen, just from hanging around the Ghost Stories Discord as much as I do, I have seen some gameplay from Drop Slash and his clanmates, his like brother and one of his friends who are both Titan mains, and those guys are unreal. They're just fucking ridiculous. I asked him once, I was like, how have you guys not made it to the lighthouse? And he's like, it just doesn't work out for us. But like the lore guys do still care about getting to the lighthouse because they want the Grimoire. They want to know about that. And likewise, again, not to mention Crucible Radio again, but like Bones from Crucible Radio, and those guys, they aren't like proclaimed lore guys. It's not like their specialty or whatever, but they do read it, and they've talked about it in episodes before. They've been on like lore shows. I think somebody said that Bones was on Focus Fire Chat or something, maybe. I don't remember. I know he was on one show, and then Swain Stash was on, or at least I think it was Swain Stash, was on Destiny Ghost Stories way back when, and they did like the lore of the cruise maps and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, there's like, it's not just the lore guys who care about it. There's people in like basically dedicated Destiny players. Like you said, the community. I mean, getting into this game, like I played vanilla a little bit on Gray Fox's account because we'd like hang out at his house and pass the controller back and forth. And I had no idea there was a community, like he was doing things back when he's like, yeah, I got into this crazy thing called a raid. He's got no mic. He's there with other people and they're just like yelling at him through his TV speakers. He's like, oh, these guys are assholes. I'm going to fucking mute them. And this is like, he's like third day playing the game or something. I'm like, why are they yelling at you so much? He's like, I don't know. They're just fucking dicks or something. And then later on he played with, one of his friends who pulled him into a group, and he's like, yeah, about that? I was like, what? He goes, I was that guy. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I was that scumbag who was like no micing everything, going away from the keyboard in the middle of the mission. Like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. So like he kind of realized that what he was doing was wrong, and he's like, sorry, But I mean, even so, it's like the community is a huge part of this game. So yeah. I think if they're, I think you're right, Steve. I think that if there's a lot of stuff as far as like lore goes and community wants go. If they can do it, they're going to figure out a way to accommodate them. But interesting, actually, somebody in chat just posted, I won't drop a name, but somebody in chat just posted, Devil's Advocate, being a streamer and like being a content creator isn't just about focusing on one thing. So some of the people who focus solely on just like reading Grimoire cards, while that's great and has its place, that maybe this should be a hint to like diversify your content. I'm not saying go out and like do lighthouse carries or try to do lighthouse carries or whatever the case may be, but people watch you because you're entertaining.
Right.
They find like a value in the content you're creating. So like if you're just dead, if I'm sitting on fucking YouTube deadpan reading Grimoire cards like it's the fucking phone book, nobody's gonna give a shit. They're gonna be like, this guy's terrible, unsubscribe.
Not that I have some lore guys, you gotta carry Scott to the lighthouse or else you're not versatile enough.
Yeah, carry me to the lighthouse. I swear I'll try my hardest. That doesn't mean I won't die.
You heard it here first, DGS.
Yeah.
You're doing lighthouse carries.
You get the challenge.
But
Oh, man.
you know, it's one of those things. Like most of the lore stuff I've watched, it is entertaining. They've got speculation. They have their thing, and they definitely have a right to be upset. You know what I mean? But it's like you said, it's the community is a huge part of this.
Right.
You know, they don't just invite media. They didn't just invite like media out to the D2 reveal to like sell the game.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's going to be content creators that do it. So I think we'll get something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, so we're running out of time, but we got 2 topics submitted. One from an actual listener and one from Dr. Ben Malone. So let's start with the one from the actual listener. Let's try and kind of quickly move through these. But the first one from Coed Beast wants to know what are you gonna main in D2 and why? Scary.
Oh man, it kind of comes down to how bad the skating is for Titans. Because honestly, like if it goes away completely, if Titans are slow, I don't know if I can be about that. As much as the Captain America shield throwing
my
does look pretty
God.
dope. Like I'm pretty excited about that. I think most defenders have been wanting a way to move that bubble for a while. So having a giant shield that you can walk with, like, seems pretty cool. So, I mean, you know, so the jury's still out to a certain extent, but fan firing Golden Gun looks kind of nice. And I've played a lot of Golden Gun. Not sure about Pole Dancer, but
Nobody
But,
uses
yeah.
the actual name. It hasn't even been played yet, and people are
already
just like,
taken
pole
off,
dancer.
yeah. Pole dancer. I'm not sure if I'm gonna want to, you know, run up and pole dance Gary to death, but you know, I don't know. So probably Sentinel to be honest, but
Sentinel.
but man, if that movement speed is too slow, I gotta be fast. I gotta be
Yeah.
fast in
Oh, yeah.
Destiny. If I can't be fast, yeah, like whichever one's the fastest. That's the answer.
Striker
Whichever
still
one-
looks fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Striker does look fast inside of Fist of Havoc, but I mean like all the time.
Right.
I need to move.
All right, Scott, what are you gonna main?
Titan.
Titan. Sunbreaker still.
Yeah. Probably Sunbreaker. It depends. I mean, here's the thing. I love playing as a Titan. I am a Sunbreaker main for those of you who don't know or have never played me or never watched me play. So yeah, you know, I love being a Sunbreaker. That was, you know, I played as a striker until I unlocked that, and then I didn't touch anything until I was trying to get into a raid, and somebody's like, "Do you have a defender?" I'm like, "What the fuck is a defender? I have no idea what that is." And they're like, "It's the bubble Titan." I'm like, "Oh, that class sucks." They're like, "Yeah, you need it for a raid," and I'm like, "Fuck." This is my 3rd week playing Destiny. I don't want to use a bubble shield. I want to blow things up.
Right.
So I mean, I love, you know, like I've learned to play defender. I've learned to play striker. But my heart is still like a hammer Titan. So
Hammer
if they
time.
give us hammer time, exactly. So if they give us, you know, Sunbreaker, which I think they will in Destiny 2, even though they're going to have to rework it some, I'll probably still be a hammer Titan unless they completely fuck it up and butcher it or something like that, which again, I doubt. But if there's like a major change, say like you can't throw hammers anymore, you got to like just sun charge everybody to death.
Right.
That might like affect my decision, you know.
Yeah.
That said, if we, on the off chance we don't get Sunbreaker back, you know, like say they're only going to do 2 classes at first or at all, and it's just going to be Striker and Sentinel for the Titan, I'm probably going to go Striker because it's basically similar mechanics to Sunbreaker right now, so it's going to be the easiest transition. But that's not to say that I won't potentially end up loving Sentinel. I don't foresee that happening right now because I love, like I said, I'm a fucking Sunbreaker straight to my core, so I love throwing hammers, you know, cursing at people and hearing that clank. It's just super fun to me. But I definitely will split the time between the 3. Most likely going to main a Titan. I don't foresee myself maining a Hunter or a Warlock just because I've been a Titan since day one. It fits my play style, so that's probably where I'll stay. What about you, Steve?
All right, so whenever I play an MMO, and Destiny is an MMO, I play utility, tank healer or straight utility, and so that's why I'm currently a Titan. I'm a striker main, but I picked Titan because they have the utility of defender. That being said, I really love being a Titan, and I want to main Titan, but there is a chance, and this might be a little bit of blasphemy for our show right now, that I will main Warlock for the heal slash weapons aura thing. Because it's
Unsubscribed.
Unsubbed.
You enjoy this.
I have to help my teammates. That's the whole point for me. I gotta be useful for everybody to be. I played a bard in EverQuest. There's the EverQuest reference for the show. Boom. Almost didn't happen. But yeah, played a bard. No damage, did no healing. All it did was make everybody else better, and I loved it. So that's my thing. And if it's on the Warlock, I might have to go that direction. Dawnblade seems a little ridiculous. It'll probably be Voidwalker because that's the Warlock I like the most in this one. But yeah, there's a chance. There is a
Rift
chance.
is cool though.
Yeah,
That Rift pool it's pretty cool. I'm anxious to see if hunters get any support style stuff. Like that, because obviously the Titans have the little walls that they can put up, and then defenders have the shield, and then so far what we've seen from the Dawnbreaker is the Dawnblade, the
Everybody's
Dawnbreaker.
calling it Dawnbreaker.
Yeah, well, it's something. It's Dawn something. But they've got the Rift Pool thing, which is pretty cool. I'm anxious to see if the Night Stalker, the new Night Stalker, if there is one, gets anything that is more, team buff based, more support based. Even if it's just like, I don't know, you've got the Invis grenades now. Even if you have that and some kind of damage buff, it'd be pretty cool.
Right.
Even though I guess the fantasy for a hunter is the more lone wolf kind of style play. Mm-hmm. So maybe it doesn't make any sense, but I do like, I don't know, I like the idea of each class having those roles that they can switch between, especially when it comes to raids and stuff.
Right. All right, so the next question from listener this week, Det Ben Malone, is how do you feel about Crucible changing to 4v4? Are you going to miss 6v6 and 3v3? And how do you feel about Countdown being, I guess, potentially a Trials game mode?
The 4v4 stuff is kind of weird, just given that there's 3 classes. I kind of always figured that that 3 was picked for things like skirmish and trials, just because you could have a Titan, a defender, or a Titan, a hunter, and a warlock. So having it 4 seems a little off, but I do agree that playing 4s is awesome. Occasionally, I'll pick up some sweats with some guys from that I met via the Crucible Radio Discord and Slack, and when we play 4v4, it's great. Those games move at a ridiculous pace, and sweats are always quick anyway. But even when they were 3v3, but 4v4, they're ridiculous. So I'm pretty excited about it for PvP, even though it does feel a little weird. At the same time, it's kind of a bummer for the weekly rhythm of my group of friends. The guys that I play with, there are 6 of us.
Yeah.
And we on Fridays we raid. It used to be back in the day. On Tuesday, everyone would get on. We'd split up and we'd do Nightfalls in 2 separate groups, and then we'd come back together for some Crucible and pretty much a bubble train. You know what I mean? That's what we'd do on Tuesday. We'd grape Naish. And then on Fridays, the 6 of us would get together and we'd run a raid, then we'd go do some Crucible, And if one guy drops out for one of those nights, you pick somebody up on LFG and it's no big deal.
Right.
But now, if it's always 4v4, you get done with a 6-man raid. We're making some assumptions, but you get done with a 6-man raid and 2 people have to leave, or you need to gather 2 more people, and do the equivalent of a private match, which won't actually be there. So here's hoping that we can still mess with.
Not at
Not at
launch.
launch. Yeah.
Not much. But so yeah, it's a little weird. I mean, all these things are whatever. Like we'll find out what works best for us, but. It's always a little uncomfortable to mess with the rhythm like that. Like we're not to come up with something new. Come up with a new way that we're going to play, and probably recruit some more people to play with, especially once those private matches come out.
For sure. And clans and guided games should make that easier to find new people.
That's very true. Very true. Definitely anxious to see how Trials plays though, as a 4v4. Again, assuming that Trials is pretty much what it is now, just with 2 extra people, one per side. But yeah, definitely anxious to see how that plays.
I think it's cool because it's one of those things. I definitely like a couple of people in my regular group of clan mates who we've raided. They're saying, the biggest thing that sucks about it is that we're gonna have to tell 2 people to peace out after a raid because we always play PvP to online, and it's one of those things where. Like looking at it, that sucks. Realistically, a lot of us are older. We're trying to plan time around work schedules and kids and things like that. So 2 of us will usually drop out at least going into PvP anyways, unless we're rolling like Iron Banner where it's a full team of 6 or something like that. So I think a 4v4 Crucible situation isn't necessarily bad. I think it's going to be easier to fill out teams, and I think that there's going to be less games that are going to start off as like half your team is there, and then you're rolling up against a full fire team who's just going to kick your ass. Because I've had a lot of that where we've like rolled into, Iron Banner Clash or something like that, or maybe Iron Banner Rift, and it's like full team of 6 versus 4 guys, and we get fucked, and it has nothing to do with being good or bad. It's like there's 2 more guys on that team that are going to pin you. I'm probably, like I said, one of the least PvP oriented people, but like you look at it and it's like you're going to get fucking rolled when it's a full team of 6, especially if they're coordinating, versus the 4-on-4. And with 4-on-4, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to pull together a team, so you don't have as many of those matches where there's like a random 3 and then 2 people on a fire team and 1 solo person, or you get like thrown into a match with 4 blueberries because it's you and your buddy, and these blueberries don't know what Rift is. They just think it's Clash. They're like, they're running to the fucking the courtyard on Bannerfall and just getting sniped repeatedly. And like, why are you doing that? Duh, So it's one of those things. I've also heard that. Sort of shifting gears, that it might be a little bit easier to get into the Crucible, so it's a little less intimidating. PvP will be a little bit less intimidating, but it's going to be harder to master.
They want more of a team feel.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I was listening to one of the podcasts where everybody was at the D2 reveal this week, and they were talking about it, and they're like, they were talking to, maybe it was Josh Hamrick or something like that. I don't think it was, maybe it was Luke Smith. It was one of the like guys who is a chief team lead at Bungie for PvP and basically the game overall for D2. And they said, there's going to be some stuff in Crucible where the cooldowns are going to be a little different and stuff like that. Like they obviously jack the ability cooldowns up for the demo because they want everybody to play it as much as they can and get a good feel for it, so they can go back and talk about it. But they said like your intellect, discipline, and strength, it's probably everything we've seen so far, it's not in the game. Yeah. So that means the cooldowns are either going to be fixed or tied to armor or something like that. And
it said barely changeable cooldowns.
Yeah, that was the other, like basically barely changeable cooldowns. So they're saying that it's not going to affect it as much. So you're not going to be able to get those like tier 12 builds where you're going in and you're getting a super every 3.5 minutes or something retarded like that, or like a fucking grenade, where you're getting every 30 seconds and then you're a sunbreaker, so you throw simmering flames on and you're getting it, in Mayhem, it's every 4 seconds you have another grenade. So you
You
could just,
can't even. You
Yeah.
can just keep throwing them. It's ridiculous.
yeah, it's insane. So it's stuff like that you're not going to see. And when whoever I don't remember if it was I think it might have been Planet Destiny. Somebody was talking to one of the, maybe we'll say Luke Smith for lack of. I'm pretty sure it was Luke Smith. They talked to him and they asked him, they said, so this is going to really affect the Crucible. Like, you're not going to be able to have your supers and like spam your supers as much. And he kind of grinned at him and was like, you're going to have some hard choices to make, Guardian. So they're going to try and get the primary gun battles, and they're going to try and get, like, they're focusing more on like team dynamics and actual like gunplay, not
Right.
which is what a lot of people have been clamoring for. Because people are like, I want a custom mode where you can take supers completely out of it. It's like, well, that's not Destiny. So I get what you're saying, but it's like you take that away and it's basically Halo,
Mhm.
Right.
So it's one of those things. I'm looking forward to it. I think a lot of people are super pissed because right now they might be marginal players, still better than me, but marginal. And it's not going to be easy for them. Like, they're not just going to be able to hit the easy button,
Right.
where they crutch on their one loadout that they think is totally balanced, but everything else is OP. It's like those are the people who are bitching. Right? Somebody was, I forget who it was, but it's the same sort of deal with Trials. With Spooky Trials, when they took away the revives and the radar. People were like mega pissed about that, and I can understand some of it, but at the same time, like, every single like top tier player you talk to, or at least every single person who is like in touch with the strategy aspect of Trials and the Crucible and stuff like that, when they gave their analysis of it, they said flat out, like, yes, it's going to be different. Some will find it easier, some will find it like harder, but the bottom line is a good team is still going to dominate. It's not going to affect people going to the Lighthouse, because the same people are going to go to the Lighthouse. The same people who are doing Lighthouse carries are going to be getting to the Lighthouse when Spooky Trials is like that versus when it's something, regular.
Right.
So a good team is still going to dominate. It's the people who, I guess are marginal. Maybe they get there, maybe they don't. If it's like the shotgun meta and they crutch on their Matador and wherever else, which, by the way, not talking shit on you because I crutch on Matador all the time. It's one of those things where, like, they're not necessarily going to make it as much. And if they're trying to become a streamer who does Trials carries as a thing, it's going to be harder for them. So that's where, like, being pissed off comes from. And I get that. But at the same time, it's like, same as everything else in the game, man. You kind of got to learn to change and roll with it.
Right.
So I think that, I mean, ultimately, really, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to with those Crucible changes. I know they suggested maybe Trials game modes changing. Steve, you and I were talking about this actually. What do you think of if they decide to make Trials like a rotating game mode similar to Iron Banner? Like, say they do.
They should. I think. Well, and I think even more so than that, I think Trials being the most competitive part of Destiny should have more than just skirmish or elimination or whatever. If Countdown is a Trials thing, maybe you have 3, maybe it's first to 4 instead of 5 or whatever, and you've got, it goes like 2 elimination, 2 countdown, 2 elimination, 2 countdown or whatever, to first to 4 or something like that. I think that would make the more diversity you throw into it, the harder it is for people who are good at that one thing to just move forward. So it allows more people to be involved in that. And as far as 4s versus 6s, I honestly don't think 6s are going to be totally gone. What if Iron Banner is 6s? What if Mayhem is 6s? They didn't say there's no 6s. They just said all the current PvP games are going to 4s.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of events could throw in some 6s.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because a lot of people were saying like Halo had big team battle, or I think it was Halo. I didn't play Halo. I'm
pretty sure it was Halo.
Actually trying to be a student, so yeah, that's I didn't do well at that either. So whatever. But yeah, somebody mentioned big team battle, and they're like, what if we do like 8 or 12, and they do like 3 teams of 4. You know, that may not launch at launch, but that's actually a really good distinction. You know, is it likely? I don't really know, honestly, but it's one of those things where it's entirely possible they could do a totally different game mode, and they say all current game modes are 4v4.
Yeah.
But we're going to do something else that's going to be like fucking bananas. You know, they could do like the 20 on 20 battles, like, or 10 on 10, whatever it is, that Star Wars Battlefront did, which, you know,
Right.
terrible example. I played it for a week, but it's like that was insane. And it was one of the things where, like, if you're not used to first person shooters, you're getting killed every 5 seconds and something like that.
Right.
You know, it's just so much chaos going. So it could be cool. Maybe we'll see something else. I don't know.
I do hope that they have some other bigger game modes, because they definitely did say 4v4 across the board. But I think like you said, Steve, I don't think that necessarily rules out some special game modes that aren't there every week.
Right.
You know, if once a month Iron Banner comes out and it's 6v6, like,
Heck yeah.
I think they could still do that. I think it'd be pretty cool. I would love to see a big team battle kind of thing. I would certainly love to see something like 4v4v4, especially on those bigger maps with vehicles and stuff. Like, I think that'd be pretty cool. But I don't know if I'm not sure if that's a D2 thing. I wonder if we have to wait for the next one to see anything like that.
All right, guys. Well, that we're basically out of time. We've gone pretty long already, so let's start wrapping things up. But Scary, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm Scary Internet Guy on Twitter, and I don't tweet a whole lot. But you can find me there. And unless I'm yelling at you guys about the show. And then also Scary Internet Guy on Twitch, but I don't really stream a lot either. But I don't know. Who knows? That may change.
Scott?
Slapshot Scott, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. The O's are zeros. I have been streaming a little bit more. My Warlock, got to get him to 40 so I can empty out the rest of my vault and give him his full set of gear that I have for, you know, the other two, Hunter and Titan. Once my Warlock gets to 40, I'm going to go back to playing my Titan quite a bit, so that'll be fun. Yeah, other than that, I'm just playing. You can catch me on PSN. If you catch my stream, you'll catch my screen name there, because that's a pain in the ass to describe to people. But it's I've been playing, like I said, I'm going to be playing Borderlands and basically streaming to get my Warlock to 40 and get that book to 100%. Quick shout out to Des Raven from RNG. He is on he's in chat heckling us, so thanks, Des, for watching.
Oh, yeah.
And we love you guys.
I'm rocking my RNG cast shirt today.
Nice.
So, shout out to you guys. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Xanafan711, ZANIFAN 711. You can find DetBen Malone at DetBen Malone. Everywhere. It's the same across the board. And then you can find us, barelyadestinyshow@gmail.com, or on Twitter at barelyads. We stream this show on Ben's channel, DetBen Malone, which if you're watching right now, you already knew that. So, but anyway, to close us out tonight, we have If Only. Hope you enjoy it. Check them out, ifonlyband.bandcamp.com. Send us questions, concerns, comments, whatever you want. I would like to think we're cool dudes. We might not be. Let us know that too. But until next time, Guardians, be the light you wish to see in others, and we'll see you next week.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace out.
monkey, putting the fish safely on a tree.